Um, all right, just bear with me for a moment here, and then we'll get right into the show. I just want to make sure all the settings are correct. Um, so anyway, of course, I'll start off the show with saying Shalom. Right, of course, all praise unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Yahweh who the world ignorantly calls God, and Yahweh Shai who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. And this is just going to be a little flow through the spirit, right? It's open for questions as well. Tonight, I am streaming live from the YouTube app, so I can only have myself on this platform tonight. I cannot invite anyone else on, just so nobody asked, in the future. You know what I'm saying? But shalom to everyone who's tuning in right now. But one thing to start off with, man, is I was watching earlier today. I was watching what is that? There's this what's that channel out there, man? Was it Jason A? I believe Jason A, which is one of those one of these Christian channels that they put up videos, trying to show the people, the times that they're living in, right? They do a compilation of all the may I say natural disasters and weather events that are going on around the world, and they'll compile all of those video clips into an entire video, right? They call it a compilation, is what they call them, right? So I was just watching some of those, man, and it's evident what time it is right now. It's evident what we're seeing, all right, because this wasn't going on 7 years ago, man. Right, these type of things were not going on in the world 7 years ago at the rate that we are seeing them right now. Okay, so yeah, back then, you definitely had, you know, um, rumors of wars, right? You definitely had earthquakes going on, 7 years ago. You definitely had, hurricanes, come and go. But we've never seen anything like what we're seeing, this year, man, and last year. Okay, I mean, it's literally, one disaster after another, man, right? One, blow after another, so to speak, right? One, you know, um, critical hit on Babylon, after another, for lack of better words. Okay, that's basically, what we're seeing. Okay, is just, this place is just being hit at all sides, man. Right, the Most High, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai is, most certainly, making his presence known in the world right now, man. All right, we sound like a broken record, the amount of times that we quote the same scriptures, but you have to do it, right? We have to constantly go back and quote them scriptures, right? And usually the same scriptures we have to quote almost every single day, right? Why? Because hey, it doesn't get old, right? It doesn't get old for us. We can sit here. I mean, hell, I don't know if y'all seen it, but just last night I was on with Mind of God and we did a 6.5 hour live stream, right? Just, me, him, and we had two other brothers on the platform with us for a majority of the show. We had like 4 people on the majority of the show, but it just shows us, man, right? That, 2 or 3 of us or 4 of us, together having a friendly chat, about the Bible and, stuff relating to the truth. We can have a literal, entire, school day, right? Quite literally, right? Because a school day is roughly 8 hours, right? Leaving out, of course, an hour for, well, let's look at it this way. It would be 6 hours if you leave out, breakfast and lunch. And if you leave out, um, PE time, right? Physical fitness time. If you leave those out, it leaves you with 6 hours of learning, right? Well, supposedly learning, that is. Okay, with certain things they tell you in school are definitely important, right? That's definitely true. But yeah, we can literally sit there for 6 hours continuously and never get bored with it, right? Because there's so much to talk about. You know what I'm saying? When you deal with the scriptures, right? There's just so much, subjects, to elaborate on, right? That you never run out of things to say. You know what I'm saying? So, let me just open my drink real quick. Tonight I'm having this what is this? This dragon tea is what it's called. And let me just open my dragon tea real quick. Um as I said, if there's any questions that anyone has, you're welcome to ask them in the chat, and I will address them. Just grab a drink real quick. Right, but anyway, going back to what I was saying, man, is it's definitely, evident what's going on in the world right now. The scriptures will, tell you that, look, when there shall be seen earthquakes and the uproars of the people in the world, that you're going to understand. And this shows that the highest is visiting the world, right? So right now, 2020, 2021, and soon to be 2022, the Lord is visiting the world right now, right? The world is surely being visited by a higher, form of intelligence right now. All right, that's what's going on. And as I said, if one can't see it, then you can't see it. And I always like to use the statement, you can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make the horse drink, right? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make the horse drink. Okay, and that's a proper analogy to use. Okay, you can lead a horse, I'll say it again, you can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make the horse drink. And what does that mean? It means, hey, look, we can come out and, yell at the people all day, and tell them the truth all day. But if the spirit's not on them, to elaborate for themselves and look into them, these subjects on their own, then guess what? It's going to be like, kicking a brick wall is what it's really like, man. Okay, and that's really what it is, arguing with, some of these religious people out here. I'll give an example. If I tell somebody that, John 3:16 does not apply to the actual entire world, that, what's the word I'm looking for? If I tell them that, they'll look at me like I got, 9 heads. If I tell them that John 3:16, doesn't mean the entire world, even though I can clearly show in the scriptures that, if you go to, what is that, John 3:16, it, excuse me, if you go to Isaiah 45:7, if you go to, or excuse me, I was just distracted by a message coming through. If you go to, Isaiah 45 and verse 17, Isaiah 45:17 says that Israel is a world of its own. If you go to, what is that, John 17:9, Christ said, I pray for those you have given me out of the world, but I pray not for the world. So wait a second, how the hell Christ die for the world if he did not, if he said he prayed not for the world? And mind of God, I'm streaming from YouTube. I can't drop a link, but I will say this though. I heard that Pops is going live on his YouTube channel in like 5 minutes. All right, so what I can do is we can all go join Pops on this channel. We can all chat over there. I believe Jay's over there, LOP might be there, and all of that. So they're trying to get us to come over there, man. All right, so we can all go over there, and use their platform, because they'll, they have a link, in the chat for us all to join, so if you want to go over there, man, I'll hop over there too, because he, as I said, Pops is reasonable, right? He's definitely reasonable to deal with. Someone asked, Jack asked, how did you the Mind of God, Bible Defender, and LOP all meet up? And the answer to that is, over the years, with me and Mind of God known each other for a good at least 3 years, right? At least 3 years we've known each other. But as far as Bible Defender and LOP, we've known them, I want to say, at least 2 months now. LOP maybe 3 months, but Bible Defender 2 months. All right, so we haven't known them for too long. But yeah, me and Mind of God, we go way back. We definitely go, pretty far back. On YouTube. But that's just the way it works. Like, I'll give this example. Me and what's this guy? The 2-letter J. Right, me and him. We were enemies at the beginning, right? We didn't really like each other. But then, we're actually, friendly with each other now, right? I like the guy now. I don't have anything, disrespectful to say about, 2-letter J, right? I don't have anything to say that anymore, about the brother. Same thing with I myself and what's this guy? Ridge Napper, right? Ridge Napper. What's the history with me and him? Is he actually was one of Rockapanam's close friends, right? So me and him, we didn't really like each other at first, right? We didn't like each other for a good, I want to say, at least a year. But then what happened is we all ended up, becoming close friends, right? And I've been, friends with what's this guy? Ridge. As I said, I'm not good at remembering names all the time, so you got to bear with me with that. But with Ridge, I've definitely been friends with him for a number of years. I want to say at least 4.5 years. I've been friends with the guy. Right, he's going off as far as doctrine goes, but I mean, I'll give him to him that he does know a decent amount of information on, a decent amount of subjects, that are not even related to the scriptures. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, as I said, it's definitely, you don't grow in relationships overnight with people, right? You don't get a friendship, for lack of better words, with people overnight. It just takes a number of, months, weeks, years, to truly get a proper, may I use the word, visual, for lack of better words, of, what the person, believes, right? And to, grow in, your relationship with them by, talking with them, seeing what they're into and all of that, right? So me and my guy, as I said, we've known each other for at least 3 years, right? At least 3 years, right? We've done, I don't even know how many streams together. I can't even count the amount that we've done over the years. But it's always good, right? It's always good. It's always fun to, go on, a platform with them. And as I said, Mind of God, I would drop a link, but I'm not streaming from StreamYard right now. I'm streaming from the YouTube app, right? So I can't do that on this platform. I'm saving my last, hour of StreamYard for a couple days out, because I have to wait until the 24th for my for my streaming hours to renew, which is what, Christmas Eve, right? The 24th. So which we shouldn't be celebrating Christmas anyway. That's if you go to Jeremiah the 10th chapter, it speaks about that. Okay, no, I'm not saying that if you live with if someone gives you a gift, you can take the gift, right? If someone in your family offers you a gift, you can take it. There's some brothers out there, like I myself, that live with family. So, hey, if they offer you a gift, hey, just take it, right? There's nothing wrong with that, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Same thing with this. There's nothing wrong if you eat a Christmas dinner with your family. There's nothing wrong with that. The scriptures clearly tell you that in 1 Corinthians the 8th chapter. It says that you can eat, these foods that are offered unto other idols. Why? Because we know that those idols are false, right? So just bless the food, in the name of the Lord, and you're all good. All right. So I remember a couple years back, and I was speaking about this a little last night on my stream, that a few years ago, maybe 1 or 2 years ago, you had GMS and Sakari were going back and forth on the subject matter of, is it okay to eat, food that has been sacrificed unto idols, specifically speaking of, Thanksgiving dinner or a Christmas dinner, right? Primarily. And the answer to that question is yes, that you can eat a Thanksgiving dinner. You can eat a Thanksgiving dinner. You can eat a Christmas dinner. That's perfectly fine to do according to the scriptures. All right. But Sakari's on there saying you can't. And it's funny because on one of the streams that Sakari did, the chief high priest himself, Gorilla, Hebrew, inside joke, right? Gorilla Hebrew himself, you know, um, ordered, damn Taco Bell, right? So I remember that, Apostle Abraham Lob, which is one of the heads of Great Millstone, he made a statement and said that, it's like, well, wait a second, how does, you know, what about if Taco Bell sacrificed that food to the Taco Bell gods? It's like, how do you know if they did or didn't? So he could be eating food that they sacrificed to the Taco Bell gods, which of course it was just being, sarcastic with that statement, of course. But it's still true. It's like, how the hell do where your food's coming from? You know what I'm saying? It's like you order, like I'll give this example. Earlier today, I was eating a beef hot dog. Now, in all factuality, how do I know if they did or did not add a different substance in there that is unlawful to eat? There's no way for me to know that. Okay, but I'd be in the good because I ordered a beef hot dog, right? So if they did put something secretly into it without me knowing, then that's won't be held against you. Scriptures tell you, if you go to I want to say 1 Corinthians the 10th chapter, it says to eat the food that is sold in the shambles, right? Eat whatever is sold in the shambles. Meaning what? If you order something that's lawful to eat and they, secretly put something else in there without you knowing, when you eat it without knowing that they added something in there, then you're not going off. Now, of course, if you know that there's, unlawful food in that, sandwich you're eating or whatever, then you don't eat it, right? Then you don't eat it. And I can name numerous times, man, where I've, purchased a can of food, a pack of beans or, you know, some food at a restaurant. And then when I read the ingredients, I see, oh, well, wait a second. This is made with, swine's flesh in it, right? Or some type of unlawful food. So in that instance, I'd have to throw the food away, right? Because now that I know that's in it, I can't eat it. But if I purchase a beef hot dog and I eat that, and they secretly, put something else in there without me knowing, that won't be held against you because you didn't know. All right. So as I said, going back to the whole GMS and Sakari situation, it's it's just a damn joke, man. All right, because the Bible clearly says that you can eat food that has been sacrificed to other idols. That's what the Bible says. Okay. And as I said, all you got to do is read 1 Corinthians chapter 8. All right, that's what it says. Right, it says to bless the food that has been sacrificed to the other idols in the name of the Lord, right? Bless it in the name of the Lord, and then you're good. That's what it says. All right? That's what it says there. Okay, and as I said, there's going to be guys that have a problem with that, which is understandable, right? That's understandable, but as far as what the Bible says, that's hey, that's what it is. So as I said, going back to what I said a couple of minutes ago, you can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make it drink, right? So I can show you, what the text says, but as far as if you're going to believe it or not, that's up for you to decide. Okay, that's up for you to decide if you want to believe that or not believe it. You know what I'm saying? Let me just get caught up on some comments real quick. As I said, if any brother watching has a question or subject of discussion to introduce to the show, you're certainly welcome to drop it in the chat. Let me see. Right, right. You have this character out there, man. Right, G-Man. Right, G-Man. Look that guy up on YouTube. Just look up capital G and then look up man. Right, G-Man, and you'll find his channel. But he's out there teaching that that you can eat a mouse sandwich if you want to today. He's saying, oh yeah, it's perfectly fine, to eat a mouse sandwich right now if you wanted to, right? Because Christ made all foods clean, is what they say, which is totally not true. Right? That's totally false, right? Nowhere in the scriptures does it say that the Most High, has declared that all foods are now made clean in the time that we're living in right now. That's not in the Bible. And then what they'll do is they'll go to what is that? They'll go to Acts the 10th chapter to Peter's vision of all the animals that came down on that cloth. And they'll say, well, see, that proves that they're made clean. It's like, well, wait a second. But that vision was talking about men though. The vision that Peter received was referring to people. It wasn't talking about unclean food. Let me just grab some water real quick. Right. So as I said, you have to be diligent, man. Okay, because as the scriptures say, there's many deceivers that went out into the world, right? And they're going to deceive many. Right? And that's what these Christian churches are doing. Hey, look, man, if you're going to church in the year 2021, then you don't know what the hell is going on. Right? If you're still going to church this year, man, in 2021, you don't got a clue what the hell is going on. First of all, the Bible says that what is that, Acts the 7th chapter and Acts the 17th chapter. It says that the Lord does not dwell in temples that are built by hands. It says that the Lord does not dwell in temples built by hands. So wait a second. If the Lord's not dwelling in these church buildings, then why the hell would we go to there? And it's funny as well, because what Christians will say, I've seen a couple of them, right? I can't say all of them say it because that would be untrue, but some of them are out there saying that, really the only way to properly worship the Lord is by going to, these houses of worship, right? That they call the church. It's like, well, wait a second. It says that the Lord doesn't dwell in temples that are built by hands. So how can they sit there and say that that you have to go to one of these churches to properly worship the Lord? That's not in the Bible. It doesn't say that. So as I said, they're just misunderstanding, the scriptures, right? They're misunderstanding the scriptures. Let me see. Creation Bear said, I turned down a slap of ribs in a dream last night. Hey, well, you did good, man. Right? Hey. Oh, and let me say this, man. I don't know if y'all know about this, but there's something, just for a little fun fact to put out there. I always like to put my little facts out there every once in a while. There's something called a lucid dreaming. I'm not sure if y'all ever heard of that term before. But what it means is basically you can control your dreams, right? It basically means that you're conscious in your dream. You know what you're dreaming, so you can do what you want. And it sounds far-fetched, but I have actually done it before, right? It's a real thing. Just go on YouTube and look up lucid dreaming, and you can learn about it, right? But it's real. And I can speak from my own personal experience that I've done it many times. I believe in my life I've probably done it, I want to say 7 times. Yeah, 7 times over the years. Which they say that the way to frequently get them is by spending a lot of time playing video games, right? So when I was let's say, I want to say when I was like 10 years old to about I'll say 13, I would get lucid dreams. Why? Because I would spend a lot of time, playing video games. Right? I'd spend a lot of time, on video games. So, when you sleep, is somehow in some way, shape, or form can possibly give you this ability to control your dreams. And I know this sounds crazy, for someone just hearing of this for the first time, but it's real, right? You really can do it. And I speak from my personal experience, right? And there's millions of others out there who've also done the same thing as well. Let me see. Let me see real quick. Jack said, what's the point of the juice narrative being so intense and ramping up? What's your take on this overall? Let me read that question again. He said, what's the point of the juice narrative being so intense and ramping up? What's your take on all of this overall? Right, so I'll answer that. My understanding of that is, they clearly see, that they, have a chance, at this, what they're saying, this new world order, right? If you know about this, what is it, the Georgia Guidestones, right? Look them up, and you'll notice that the number one commandment on the Georgia Guidestones, it says to keep humanity in balance with nature, and it says to decrease the population to 500 million, right? 500 million people. So currently on Earth today, there's roughly we'll say 8 billion people, right? Give or take, a few million. But it's roughly about 8 million people on Earth right now. Okay, so that's you can do the math on that. That's a couple billion people there that they have to eradicate, for lack of better words. And that's their plans, right? That's their plans, man. Which really it's the Most High's plan, right? Really it's God's plan to do that. That's why the scriptures tell you, what is that? If you read Revelation, the 21st chapter, John said that I saw no more sea. What does that represent? That means, because all you got to do is go to Revelation, the 17th chapter, and the 15th verse. It says what? That the water that you've seen represent peoples, multitudes, and nations and tongues. Right, so the water represents people. So when John said that in the kingdom of heaven, there was no more sea, that doesn't mean there's not going to be an ocean anymore, like physical drinkable water and water that sea creatures live in. That's not what it's talking about. It's talking about there's not going to be a great abundance of people living upon the earth at that particular moment in time, right? The earth will be repopulated over time, that's true. But right when that event happens, there's going to be, a limited, amount of people that are going to be around. Certainly not, 5 billion people, walking around at that moment in time, when that event takes place. Okay, so that's what that means. Because I've seen that sometimes I watch these Christian, interpretation, videos. They do their little animations, on their breakdown of of the skip cheese. And I was watching one of them about the the new heaven and the new earth. They believe it's actually like a real, new earth, right? This earth's going to be completely destroyed is what they believe, and that the new world's going to be formed. And then it's funny because I was watching it, and when it said there's no more sea, they literally showed the new world without any water on it. Like there was just all green grass. There was literally no water. And of course, the globe was set as a what's what I'm looking for? It was set as a bear with me. I was just reading the chat real quick. It was just no water, right? It was no water. It was all just grass, and of course they made it the globe model, right? Because that's what they believe. That's what they push. Is that ball Earth doctrine? You know what I'm saying? Let me see. I see we got LOP in the chat. As I said, shalom to everybody who's tuning in right now. Let me see. Mighty God said, I honor the law by eating Chipotle almost every day. But hey, as I said, as long as you're, hell, how do you know what they did or did not sacrifice that to the Chipotle gods? I'm just messing with you. But going back to what I was saying about that is this cat Alize, right, the chief priest himself, sitting on there saying, "Oh, you can't eat food that's sacrificed to idols." It's like, well, wait a second. How the hell do you know or do not know if that food was sacrificed to an idol? It's like, how the hell do you know? Know what I'm saying? So it just shows you, man, that a lot of guys are just there, they'll argue with you. But then when the evidence comes out to support that they're wrong, then they don't want to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? Let me just grab a drink real quick. Yeah, someone said, yeah, mind of God and keeping away from those pork marshmallows on your counter. Right, right. Because mind of God said that he liked to put the marshmallows into his his hot chocolate, right? Which, hey, look, I can't blame him, right? I can't blame him. I always loved my what is those? Those Rice Krispie treats, right? I grew up on those, man. Right. So I'll tell you, even recently, well, as far as recently, I mean, before I knew that the marshmallows had pork in them, right? So before I knew that, I was eating them, of course. But then when I figured that out, now I haven't ate one ever since. Now that I know that, you know what I'm saying. So so yeah, but I know how he feels, right? It definitely doesn't feel good, giving up certain of these foods. Like I'll say this, man, just like with a lot of chips, right? I can't eat a lot of chips right now. You know why? Because they're made with some type of pork product, right? I don't know the ingredient off the top of the head, and I'd have to read it off the bag of the chip. But on the vast majority of these bags of chips that you see at the store, they contain a ingredient in there that comes from swine. Okay, I believe it's malconduction or something like that. I could be mistaken. Or sodium glutamate. I believe it's that. I believe it's sodium glutamate. If you look up the ingredients of it, it includes, excuse my stutter, includes, um, swine's flesh in it, right? And that's on, I want to say, 90%. Yeah, about 90% of the chips out there on the market today, have those ingredients in them, right? So when you go to the marketplace, when you go to the store and purchase a bag of chips, 90% of the chips that you see contain sodium, glutamate, right? Or something along those lines. And if you look into that ingredient, one of the ingredients of that ingredient is swine's flesh, right? Or at least, a certain part of the pig is used for it. Okay. And as I said, you can look into it just like with the marshmallows, the part of the marshmallow that has swine in it is the gelatin, right? The gelatin that the marshmallow is made with comes from swine, right? The ingredient is the gelatin, as far as that one goes. All right, so as I said, man, definitely ain't easy, right? Giving up a lot of these chips, man. I mean, hell, I always liked what is it? Those Doritos, right? I grew up, eating those, man. I grew up eating Doritos, man. That was my favorite snack, to be honest with you. That was definitely my favorite snack was Doritos, right? I'd eat that, every day, man. I'll eat an entire bag in one day. You know what I'm saying? And I mean the damn, what is that? Damn party size, man. I'm not even talking about family size. I'm talking about party size. Let me see. Right, but guess what? Now I can't do it. Why? Because I know that there's an ingredient in there that comes from swine. So now that I know, unfortunately, I can't eat those things. You know what I'm saying? And as I said, it definitely is tempting when you see those, foods. Definitely. But you know what? I know that I can't do it. Right? And you just gotta read what is that? Um Second Maccabees, the seventh chapter, right? Dealing with the seven brothers that were I should say seven brothers that were killed, right? They were tortured and killed because the king commanded them to eat swine's flesh. But they said, we're not going to do it, right? We're not going to do it because that goes against the scriptures, right? That goes against the law, the commandments of the Most High. So we're not going to do it, right? So guess what? The king, had those men tortured and killed. The only reason why, because they did not eat swine's flesh. So I wait a second. So how the hell is it that those men, they lost their lives simply for not eating pork, but yet now somehow today the Christians are telling us that you can eat a pork sandwich if you want to. I mean, hell, you can't have a Catholic get together without somebody bringing the ham. You can't do it, right? You just can't do it. You can't have a Catholic get together without somebody bringing the ham, and that's just the way it is, right? That's just the way it is. Okay, so that's why the scriptures tell you, oh, what is that? Um, but it might be Matthew chapter 15 and verse 8, if I'm not mistaken. It says that, this people, they draw nigh unto me with their heart and they honor me with their lips, but in vain do they worship me, teaching the doctrine and the commandments of men, right? And that's what a lot of these guys are doing, right? They draw nigh unto the Lord and they honor the Lord with their lips, but in vain did they worship the Lord, teaching the doctrine and the commandments of men. What does the word doctrine mean? The word doctrine means a teaching, right? A philosophy. But the word commandment simply means the law. So that also cuts these guys, teaching that you have to obey the law of the land. That's bullshit. And that verse clearly cuts it because, wait, it says these people to honor me with their lips, but in vain do they worship me, teaching the philosophy of men, right? The teachings of men, right? The doctrines and the commandments of men, aka the rules and regulations, laws of what people made up. You know what I'm saying? So that's clearly a spiritual KO, man. Let me see. Let me just get caught up on these comments real quick because they're flying in. Let me see. Mighty God said I threw away them marshmallows. Hey, as I said, man, that's the proper route to take, right? Just toss it in the trash. You know what I'm saying? Just toss that shit in the trash. That's all you got to do, right? There'd be no reason to hold on to it and just let it sit there in the cupboard. You know what I'm saying? Or I mean, if it's unopened, just ship it over to a food bank or something. If you got like a lot of it, you know what I'm saying? Ship it over there because it's sometimes it might be easier, to do that depending on the circumstance you're in. Let me see. Hey, look, Flat Earth Boxer, right? Flat Earth Boxer Hey, look, man, that guy's just a damn child, is what he is, man. And you seen last night when we had him on the show, but I was trying to be very polite and respectful, with him. I simply asked him, no, I heard that you teach, such and such. No, do you mind, like giving me like a rundown on like why, you subscribe, to that teaching? Is what I asked the brother, and then all he can respond and say, well, you're too fat, right? You're too fat. I mean, hell, man. Hey, 300 pounds. I guess I'm a little overweight to be 300 pounds, I suppose. But which obviously I'm just being sarcastic. But it's just, come on, man. What the hell is the point to sit there and make fun of what I look like? By that line of logic, what about have he ever read the verse that speaks about John the Baptist? Right, when people came out to see him, what was he wearing? He was wearing a um a rough garment, is what John the Baptist was wearing. He wasn't wearing a suit and tie like what these Christians wear today. He was wearing a rough, outfit, is what it says in the scriptures. Okay, so Flat Earth Boxer would have said that John the Baptist was a hobo, right? He would have said that he's a hobo and that he's ugly and he's a damn devil demon. That's what Flat Earth Boxer would say by logical deduction. That's what he would have to say. You know what I'm saying? It's like, come on, man. The guy's acting like a little ass child, is what he's on there acting like. Like, come on, man. If you claim to be, so knowledgeable, why do you have to, you know, resort to, you know, elementary school, levels of, trying to prove your argument, right? By trying to attack what somebody, looks like. You know what I'm saying? It just, come on, man. It's a damn shame. Grown ass man, sitting there, someone asked him a question. He's like, well, I don't not like the way you look, as his response to the question. It's like, come on, man. Yeah, idiots out there actually following this person. And I'm not saying that to anyone listening right now, but it's like, y'all got idiots out there that are actually subscribing to these people and actually listening to what they're saying. It's like, come on, man. Guys, it's a damn joke. He's a damn devil demon. I try to be polite with him, and he doesn't want to do it. It's like, oh, okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, come on. Cut the childness, out. You know what I'm saying? It's like, come on. You're a little too old for that, man. You know what I'm saying? It's, a damn shame. Let me see. Um, yeah, shalom to DJ, right? We're glad to see you stopping by. He said, great show last night. Yeah, man. It was, definitely a good stream, right? Definitely a very good show, which I'm going to have to go through and take some, parts out of it, because I guarantee you the only person who's going to watch the entire stream is LOP, right? LOP is the only person who's going to watch the entire 6 hours. Um, you know, so I'll go through and, take some clips out and re-upload them so more people can see them. But let me say this, one subject that was brought up in the show, I believe the one brother, what was it? The Galapagos was the brother who we had on at that particular moment when we were talking about this subject. He said that dinosaurs, he didn't necessarily say they didn't exist, so to say, but he was like, he's skeptical, of them. And, if you were to ask him if he believed in it or not, he would weigh to the side and be on the side of, they didn't exist, or at least, certain kinds of them that we see, in museums today are like made up and are like fake, is what he was, trying to say. And my argument to that statement would have to be, if that statement's true, how do you deal with such things as the what is it, the Inca stones, right? How do you deal with the Inca stones? If you don't know what that is, just go on YouTube and do a search for the Inca stones. Make sure you add the word dinosaur. Look up dinosaur Inca stones on YouTube, and you'll find a few hundred videos that are, speaking about these. And then there's more. You can look up, if you go on YouTube, look up, proof dinosaurs and humans coexisted together. Okay? Because according to the proof that we have, dinosaurs and humans, they did live alongside each other, just like, how in the past, you did have, human beings who were, 10, 15 feet tall, right? That people refer to them as the giants, right? They lived, not too long ago, right? And, some people know that, but what a lot of people don't know is that dinosaurs also lived among people. And that can easily be proven because you have, all you got to do is do the research on this. There's temples around the world that they show on the artwork or on the stones that the temple's constructed with. Some of the stones show artwork depicting dinosaurs. Wait a second. How the hell could they know what dinosaurs look like if nobody discovered the skeletal remains of these creatures until the 1800s is when they discovered these skeletons. Okay, so as I said, anyone teaching that dinosaurs didn't exist, they just don't know what the hell they're talking about. Okay, now I'm not saying that every species and every, single dinosaur we see, you know, in museums today and in, on the History Channel, I'm not saying all of those ones existed. No, I'm sure they could, add a couple in there that are fake, right, or not, not correctly depicted. Right, I'm not going to deny that. That's certainly plausible. That's certainly plausible. But to come out and just pretend that all of them are not real, it's like, come on, that's certainly not. That certainly just isn't true. Okay, that's bullshit. That's totally not true, because you have, as I said, you have the Inca stones, which are stones that are 1,000 years old, that clearly depict, or I should say depict, excuse me, humans and dinosaurs. And if you look at the detail that they put into these stones, you can't tell me, well, they just found the bones and, just, imagined, what they look like. It's no. If you look at the detail, they're in, such great detail that you would have to physically see the creatures in order to, describe, what they look like. There's another one. You can look this up, over in the Amazon rainforest. You have tribes over there that are still living, living like, it's the 1500s, right? They don't have electricity over there. They don't have, you know, um, very good, medical, treatments over there. They don't have any of that stuff. They're living, in their small communities, in the rainforest over there. But there is something very interesting. I was watching a couple documentaries. Some of the people living over there, they have a legend of, what is it? They have a legend of, oh, what is this creature they call the Bembe or something like that. Um, but the interesting thing about it is, some of the researchers went down with these tribal people down there, and they gave them a paper and a pen and asked them to illustrate, what does this creature look like that you people, believe you've seen, right? That what are, the legends that the people have throughout their generations of seeing these creatures, right, that dwell in these swamps, all right, and then the rivers down there. And when the people drew on the paper, it literally 100% matches the depiction of a sauropod dinosaur. Like literally 100% matches the depiction of the sauropod dinosaur. And then if that wasn't enough, they brought up a little, what could I use the word? Flip book, for a lack of better words, that basically had a collection of dinosaur pictures in it. And it also had pictures of, rhinos and elephants, a giraffe, um, certain of those animals. And, they showed the people the pictures of them. And the only, picture that they pointed to out of the mix, between the elephants were on there, the rhinos were on there, giraffes were on there, all of that was on there. But guess what the people pointed to? Everyone went crazy when they seen the picture of the sauropod dinosaur. Right? They went crazy and said that's the Mekele Bembe, right? And I believe I'm pronouncing that word correctly. Just go on YouTube and look that word up and watch the documentaries, right? There's multiple documentaries, right? So I'm not saying that it's 100% true, but it's definitely very, very interesting. It's very interesting. And you can't forget this fact as well, that especially over in the Amazon, they don't know what the hell is over there, man. No one knows what the hell, is, over in that region. They only know a little bit, just like with the ocean. They've only explored, 5% of what lies on the ocean floors. Okay, so they're discovering, thousands of new species, every year that they never, believed. Just like, I'll give this example. No one believed that there was gigantic squids that, lived in the waters, right? No one believed that. Everyone thought that was just, a myth. But then recently, within the last, century, there's been a couple, gigantic squids that fishermen have caught in their nets when they were, out on deep water, right? In fact, there's a video online. I believe there's probably multiple of them at this point of, video footage from deep in the ocean showing these colossal squids, right? So at one point, everyone thought that that was just, a myth. But guess what? Now we can confirm that it in some way, shape, or form is actually true. That there are, gigantic squids that live in the ocean, right? And, some of them, I believe the one was, like, I want to say 48 feet long, the one they found. But you're going to have to look into it for yourself, to get all the information. Okay, but the reason I bring up, all this information is to say, you can't just sit there and say that dinosaurs never existed, because there's actual evidence to support that they do. Okay, such as everything I've presented here. Okay, not only these, they've also found ancient pottery, right? They found ancient pottery as well as clay figures that depict dinosaurs. Okay, as I said, it's all real. Just look into it. Right? Do a Google search on that. Right? You can do a Google search and find the images of everything I'm telling you. Right? So you got guys out here like Eric Dubé, which I have read his book, right? The Flat Earth Conspiracy. It was a very, very good book. And I do recommend you purchase it and give it a read, right? It's definitely a very good book. But one thing he went off on is he has an entire chapter dedicated to, exposing dinosaurs is basically what he calls it, right? He has an entire chapter in there where he, quote unquote, debunks dinosaurs and says that dinosaurs were just created to deceive people and to go along with the, Big Bang evolution theory, right? So see, dinosaurs, all that's fake. It's like, well, wait a second, that's certainly not true, because what those guys will never accept is, what about the information we have that shows that they did exist and that they lived among people? Okay, because you have to understand what they're telling you about how they lived 65 million years ago. That's all bullshit. That part's not true. That doesn't mean they never existed. But you can't accept what they're telling you as far as, the time that that they lived, right? Because that part's false. Okay, just like, don't believe what they're telling you about how the universe is like what is it, 13.8 billion years old is when they say that the Big Bang happened. So basically like 14,000 years ago is what they believe the Big Bang happened. Which, first of all, the Big Bang is not even logical to believe in by itself. Let me just grab a drink of water real quick. Let me see. Let me get caught up on some of these comments. As I said, if there's any questions or subjects anyone would like to bring up, I'll address those. Right, questions are certainly welcome on the show. Let me see. Somebody asked, ETT, who do you think the Revelation 12 man-child is? My response to that would be the man-child is referring to who the world calls Christ. Okay, and if a backup scripture to prove that is just go to what is that? If you just go to Isaiah the ninth chapter, right, start at verse 5 and read on down, right? It speaks about there's this child that was born, right? And guess what? The governments are going to be upon his shoulder, right? So the man child represents the Christ, right? Who the world calls Jesus is the man child in Revelation the 12th chapter. Let me see. King Manny said, "Mighty God loves flat Earth boxer. Should have his wrench removed." Let me see. Well, as I said, flat Earth boxer. As I said, that character, is just a damn joke, man. The guy's just like a little ass kid. Is how he operates himself. You know what I'm saying? Um, but hey, it's cool, right? It's cool. Minor guy would get on me for dealing with brother Luke, right? So hey, that's cool, right? If he wants to act that way with flat Earth boxing, then that's cool. He can do what he wants. But hey, if I want to talk with Luke, then I'm gonna do that, right? If I want to talk with the brother, then that's cool. Fun fact, by the way, me and Luke known each other longer than mine of God, and I myself knew each other. I believe I've known Luke for 5 years, if I'm not mistaken. At least 4.5 or 5 years I've known that brother. He goes way back, man, to the days of Rock Upon Him. But anyway, let me scroll along. Let me see. Let me just see real quick. Hey, well, King Manny, man. Hey, look, don't get that juice, man. Right? Don't go along with that juice. You don't know what the hell they're putting in these things, man. Right? You don't know what the hell they're putting in it. Let me tell you a little story, man. Which I gotta watch what I say. But when my mother took it, right, she was you know, down for like 2 days. Right? She was sick. She had to stay home for like 2 days, man, after she took that juice. You know what I'm saying? So, you just gotta be cautious, man. Okay, 'cause you don't know what the hell they're putting in these things. All right. So, hey, if you want to do that, then that's on you. Okay, but as I said, I would I wouldn't do that. If you're asking me for advice, I'd tell you to stay away from that. But at the end of the day, as I said, every man, is responsible for his own actions. We're all going to be judged on Judgment Day by our own actions. So we can all give each other advice. But at the end of the day, the only one who can, make their own decision, for themselves is themselves. You know what I'm saying? You can make the decisions for you. I can make the decisions for me. That's just the way it works. But of course, it's good to get advice from other people. That's definitely always, on the plus side, for lack of better words. Let me see. Right, Flat Earth Boxers owner saying that that what is it, that trumps the Antichrist. You know what I'm saying? Like, wait a second, wait a second. The Bible says that there are many antichrists. The scriptures tell you all you got to do is go to what is that? 1 John 2:18, 1 John 2 and what is the other one? Verse 20, I believe. It says what? That he that denies the Father, he that denies that the Christ is the Son of the Most High, he is a deceiver and an antichrist. Right? And I'm nearly paraphrasing the scriptures. Okay, but that's what it says. It says, he that denies that Jesus is the Christ, he is a liar and an antichrist. That's what it says. So there is no one antichrist figure that's going to arise one day and rule over the world. That's not in the Bible. Right? That's not in the scriptures. Where the hell is that at in the Bible? That's not in there. Okay? That's nowhere in the Bible. Right? So you got all these guys talking about how which I look at some of these Christian videos, for entertainment sometimes, and what they talk about is like some of them will say, well, the mark can't be out right now because we're still waiting for the beast to arise up. Then you got to ask him, it's like, okay, well, who is the beast? Like who is the beast? And that's a real question. Right? That's a real question. Right? Who is the beast? And the answer to that question is the beast, which it depends on what chapter you're talking about, because there's a multiple beast in the Bible. It just depends on what one you're talking about. Okay, for an example, in one chapter, the beast can represent America, but in another chapter, it represents another, thing. Like I'll say this: who is the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns? The beast with 7 heads and 10 horns represents the North Atlantic Treaty Organization and the European Union. Okay, that's what the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns represents. But if you go to what is that, Revelation the 13th chapter, where it says there was another beast that arose from the earth. He had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spoke as a dragon. That represents America. And the 2 horns represent the 2 political parties. They represent the Democrats and the Republicans. Okay, that's what it represents, right? It has, the 2 political sides. Okay, that's what it all means. It's not literal when it says that he has 2 horns like a lamb. That's not literal. It doesn't literally mean that this, sea monster, as guys would say, have 2 literal horns on its head. That's not literal, right? It's not literal, right? It doesn't mean, what the text makes it look like. Why? Because it's a parable. It's not literal. Okay, it's symbolic of something else. Okay, and that's not easy to digest a lot of times. Definitely, that's understandable, but that's just what it is. I'll give this example. It goes on to say in the chapter that this beast had power to bring down fire on the earth in the sight of men. All right, now if you watch these Christians interpret it, they'll all show in their animations, right, this Antichrist figure. They'll show him bringing fire down, on earth, from his, 3rd temple in Jerusalem is what they're on there, showing. But the way you understand that scripture is that's talking about, that already happened first and foremost. That already taken place. That was talking about when America dropped, what is it, Little Boy and Fat Man on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right, to end the Second World War, is what that was talking about, right? So America had power to rain fire down from heaven, right, in the sight of men, right? And all the world feared the United States when they seen that destruction, when those atomic bombs, fell on, Japan, right? Everyone was in fear. If you read up on the history, of that event, okay, the whole world learned to fear America, okay, when that happened, because it's like, who the hell can do that? What other power has such, what other global government, or let me phrase myself, what other global power, right, other nation that's ruling on earth has this power, that America has, back then, right? No one else could flex, on that level. No one else had that type of power, other than America. But now, here we are, in 2021, and now a majority, of the nations now have the capability of producing their own, nuclear weapons. Okay, so definitely came a long way on that, which back then they weren't using nuclear weapons. The weapons they dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki were atomic weapons, right? So they're different. What you can do to research on it, right? You can just, do a Wikipedia search on those subjects if you want to learn more about that. But anyway, let me hit these comments real quick, because as I said, they're rolling in. Hey, keep those comments coming, right? Keep those, comments and questions, continue flowing in. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. The son of perdition. Someone asked a question about what about the son of perdition. The son of perdition just represents the how, what is that? Job 9:24, right? The earth was given into the hands of the wicked, right? So that's simply what it represents, is, the wicked have dominion over the earth. So it's not a one person who is the son of perdition, right? There's not one man who is the false prophet. There's not one man who's the antichrist. Okay, those things are false. So as far as the son of perdition, it just represents that the power of the earth was given into the hands of the wicked, right? That's simply what it represents, in the Bible. Let me see. I just gotta check something real quick. Right, but going back to what I was saying, from last night's show, man, it's just everyone, as I said, everyone thinks that they are deep, right? Everyone thinks that they're deep. But then when you want to question, what they believe, just like with Flat Earth Boxer, you ask them simple questions like, well, why do you believe that Trump is the Antichrist? He'll just resort to, well, you're fat, so I don't want to talk to you. It's like, oh, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? It's like, why you gotta act like a little ass kid? You know what I'm saying? Scriptures tell you to answer any question that a man asked you regarding your faith, right? So I would think that because according to the scriptures, the testimony of Christ, which I would believe that if I asked Flat Earth Boxer, which I'd have to ask, Bible Defender or Mind of God to ask him, because he won't take a question from me. But you'd have to have them ask Flat Earth Boxer if he has a testimony. I 100% guarantee you that he'll say he does have a testimony, why he believes in Christ. Obviously he would, or he wouldn't be out there teaching from the scriptures. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, if he's going to say he has a testimony, it's like, okay, then good. Well, the scriptures say that the testimony of Christ is the spirit of prophecy, Revelation 19:10, that the testimony of Christ is the spirit of prophecy. So, Flat Earth Boxer, if you have testimony of Christ, you got to be able to give us a prophecy. And a big part of the prophecy is, well, who is the Antichrist? You shouldn't just be sitting there saying, oh, well, why I won't answer that because you're drinking too many Red Bulls. Like, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? It's like, come on. It's ridiculous. Let me see. Jack asked, do you think that people that took the magic potions are compromised to enter the kingdom of heaven? And my response to that is, if this juice is the mark, then those people that took it, they'll be destroyed in the lake of fire. All right, that's what I'll say on that. That if it turns out that this juice is the mark, then you can't repent from it. But as far as what you asked me about a compromise to enter the kingdom of heaven, well, this is where you have to understand reincarnation, okay? Because according to the Bible, when you die, right, your spirit goes back to the Lord, right? So eventually, every person's coming back in the kingdom of heaven, right? We were all told in Christianity that that reincarnation is not in the Bible. That's not true. In the kingdom, you're going to be brought back into the kingdom. Okay, if you're wicked, you're going to be brought back into the kingdom of heaven. If you're righteous, you're going to the kingdom as well. All right, there's reincarnation in the Bible. That's why if you go to Daniel chapter 12, it says that some that awake from the dust of the earth, some are going to awake to everlasting joy. But then it also says that some are going to awake to everlasting shame and contempt. Okay, so everybody's going to be in the kingdom. Okay, that's a misconception we were all taught from the Christian church. Okay, but that's not true. The Bible says that every person is going to be on earth when Christ is ruling. That's what the Bible says. But they had to first go through the second death, right? So just like this, Christ died for the sins of all of Israel, right? So guess what? All Israel is going to be in the kingdom of heaven. But guess what? The wicked Israelites, they have to be destroyed on this side, but they're going to be born back into the kingdom of heaven. That's why if you go to, what is that? If you go to, I want to say Romans, the 11th chapter, it says that all Israel shall be saved. It says all Israel is going to be saved. That doesn't just mean the elect. Okay, so in the kingdom, all of the Israelites are going to be there. Right? But first, only the righteous are going to get there on the first go around. That's why the scriptures say, blessed and holy is he who has part of the first resurrection. On such, the second death has no power. Okay? But guess what? There's going to be another resurrection, which is the resurrection of the wicked. Okay, so, you have to, look back into it, man. Which I have to do a video on that. I'm going to have to do a video speaking about that subject matter. All right, I'll have to do a video going into that because I'm not sure if I spoke about that once before. But understanding reincarnation, is definitely, a big player in this thing, But yeah, as I said, just go ahead and read Romans chapter 11. It says that all Israel is going to be saved. So again, to clarify, what it means is that in the kingdom, all Israel is going to be there. But with that being said, the wicked ones are going to be destroyed on this side in the second death, but then they're going to be brought back again, righteous in the kingdom. So that would be my, understanding on that, to answer that brother's question. Which you don't have to agree, right? That's cool if you don't want to agree, but I mean, that's clearly, in the scriptures, right? We can give definitely, places in the scriptures that speak about that. Let me see. So somebody said, what about 41? I believe he's referring to, because they didn't put the chapter in. I believe the brother's referring to, what is that, Matthew, the 25th chapter? I believe that's what he's referring to. As I said, he didn't put the chapter, in book in, but if my memory serves me correct, that's in Matthew, the 25th chapter. It says, then shall he say unto them on the left hand, depart from me, ye cursed, into everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and for his angels. Right, now what does that mean? What that's talking about is that they're going to be destroyed in the second death, right? That's the second death. Now when it says everlasting, that's not literal, right? There is no literal everlasting punishment of the wicked. This is why it's difficult to understand the Bible, because I agree with you that it does say everlasting. However, that's not what it literally means, right? It doesn't literally mean everlasting, right? Even though it uses that particular word. I'll give this example. The Bible says that Christ has 7 eyes. Is that literal? Does Christ actually have 7 eyes? And the answer to that is no, because it represents something else. But the Bible literally says that Christ has 7 eyes, right? But we know that that's not literal, even though the text literally says that. Okay, just like how the text says there's a beast that arises from the sea. Does that actually mean there's a beast, like a literal sea monster, that rose from the sea? The text literally says that, but that's not literally what it says. That's not what it actually means, even though the text, uses those words to describe it, for lack of better words. Let me see. Oh, as far as this verse here that Mind of God brought up, this is a good one. Romans 9, verse 6, it says, "Not as though the word of Yahweh have taken none effect, for they are not all Israel, which are of Israel." Now, what does that mean? That means that today you are going to have some people who look like Israelites, who are actually other nations, right? Just like how today you're going to have some people who their skin color is white, but they might actually be Israelites. Okay, so you're also going to have some people who are dark skinned who are also could be Edomites. All right, and that's a hard concept to follow. Okay, but think about it this way, right? Over time, especially let's go back to the 1600s, right, when the Israelites were in slavery in America. Some of these slave masters would sleep with the black woman. So therefore the children over time, they could take on a darker, you know, um, complexion, right? Look like a black man, but their, great great grandfather, right, was a white man. Okay, and there's plenty of examples you can find of that online, right? Of it's just and this is a hard thing to understand. Okay, just like how you're gonna have Israelites on earth today who can look like white people. Okay, but guess what? They're still Israelites because the seed goes by the father. Okay, that's how they can find out what nation you are. Okay, the seed of the mother is not that's not how the Bible goes by. It's determined who you're going to be by your father's side of the family. It's how it's decided, what nation you're from. All right, if an Israelite man lays with a Moabite woman, the child's going to come out still an Israelite, even though he was born from a mother of another nation. Right, the child's still going to come out um, as an Israelite because the lineage is by the father, not the mother when you deal with the Bible. Let me see. Someone brought up Mark 9 and verse 44. It says, "Where the worm dies not and the fire is not quenched." Right, that's not literal. That's not literal. As I said, that's a parable, brother. That's a parable. I don't know if you're using that to say that there's a hell that exists. I don't know if the brother's bringing that up, but that's definitely not literally, what the text means. Right? That's not literal, brother. Let me see. Let me just read this real quickly. Yeah, yeah, as I said, man, a lot of guys on here, a lot of guys think they're deep, right? A lot of guys on here, thinking they know a little something, but then they clearly are going off. You know what I'm saying? Like, mind of God's going to be sitting on there telling you that there's and in what is that, Joshua the 6th chapter, going over a historical event that already taken place in world history. He'll sit on there and tell you, oh yeah, but yeah, it did happen, but it's also going to happen again, right? It also is symbolic of my sequence. It's like, come on, man. I mean, how many videos do you have on the sequence? Isn't it over 200 at this point, man? If I'm not mistaken, don't you have like 200 videos going into individual chapters in the Bible, and showing your sequence. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I believe it's over 200, right? So that's why I asked you. And as I said, look, if you can't get it and you can't get it, right? That's cool. You're welcome to believe what you want, right? But somebody asked me a question, so I respond to the question, and give it my understanding, right? If you don't agree, then you don't agree. That's cool. You can disagree and keep it moving. That's cool. Right? There ain't no beef. But with that being said, it's definitely I'll probably have to do a video on that because that's a good subject to speak about. Let me see. Just like this example, I agree that the Bible uses the word hell. I agree that the word hell is in the Bible. But what does that word mean? Right? Just because the word hell is in the Bible, it doesn't mean there's a place where you go and burn forever. Just because that's what a group of people, you know, think that the word means. You know what I'm saying? Just like how what's these guys? Just like how Pops and Mike tried to say that well, you can't use the word Lord, you can't use the word God because those are names for Baal or something like that. It's like, well, wait a second. Some people might, use that to describe, that, pagan God. That could be true, but you can't say that's what it means in the Bible, right? You can't sit on there and say that's what it means in the Bible, right? You can't sit on there and do that. Just like I'll give this example, just like the word reincarnation. Some groups of people believe that the word reincarnation basically means, that if you die as a man, you could come back as a dog, or you can come back as a octopus, or a fly or something like that. But then we believe that if you die as a man, you're going to come back as a man, right? If you die as a woman, you're going to come back as a woman, right? So even though it's the same word, reincarnation, there are different understandings, different theologies about what the word means. Okay, so they both use the same word, right? We'll use the word reincarnation, or use the word reincarnation, but we'll both disagree as to what the word means, right? As in what it means by reincarnation, if that makes sense. So I'll agree the word hell is in the Bible. I definitely agree it's certainly in the Bible. But the whole debate is like, what does it actually mean? Is what the whole argument is about. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. Bear with me for just a second. Right, but going back to what I wanted to speak about was Christians be out here, talking about how oh well, you just gotta, say the sinner's prayer, and confess, Jesus with your lips, and be baptized in chlorine water, and you'll be, saved in the blood of sweet Jesus is what they're on there talking about. It's like, well, wait a second. When you deal with the Bible, in this time, what it means by baptism is that's not a literal water baptism. I'll give this example. John the Baptist told the people, right, that there's one coming after me that's going to baptize you with fire, is what John the Baptist said. And he was talking about Christ. So the question I'd have to ask is, it says that Christ is going to baptize you with fire. So why are we then not putting people into literal fire then? Is that literal? Right? Is that literal? Because it says that he's going to, baptize people with fire. As I said, is that literal? Does it literally mean that people are going to be burned on fire when they're sacrificed, or should say, what's the word I'm looking for? Excuse me. Um, Baptized. Excuse me. I slipped my mind for a second. When they're baptized, by Christ. And the answer to that is no. The fire represents the trials, right? You had to go through trials, in this thing of ours, right? That's what the fire represents, that the elect are baptized with, right? So even though it literally says that Christ is going to baptize you with fire, that is not literal. Even though it literally says that in the text, that is not the interpretation of what it actually means. Going back to what I was speaking about earlier, right? There are certain things that are literally written in the Bible that they don't actually mean what they appear to mean. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. Let me ask this brother a question. I'm not sure what this brother's name is because he has it in I believe that's a Hebrew he has his name in. I believe that's William. I believe that's brother William. I could be mistaken. With the brown avatar in the comments. Your brother's putting up a lot of scriptures, and these are good scriptures, but I think your brother's misunderstanding them. But I wanted to ask this brother this question is let me see, what did I want to ask the brother? It just slipped my mind because I was reading this comment. All right, yeah, I thought that was William. And that, yeah, man, as I said, we'll have to bring you on the stream next time. I drop a link now, but I'm on a different platform, so I can't do that at the moment because it's not available, on here. But I believe I wanted to ask the brother about, oh, yeah, I wanted to ask this. Are you aware that when the kingdom of heaven is on earth, that there are other kingdoms that are going to be on earth as well when Christ's kingdom is ruling? Are you aware of that? Have you looked into that? And if you're asking me for proof of that statement, I can certainly give you this. All you got to do is read Isaiah the 60th chapter and read what is that, Revelation the 21st chapter, and it speaks about the kings of the earth bringing their honor and their riches unto the gates of the Most High's kingdom. So obviously, if there's kings that are on earth outside of Christ's kingdom, that must mean that they're bringing riches from their kingdoms to the kingdom of Christ, right? So there's other kingdoms that are on earth that are not the kingdom of the Christ, right? And you're not taught that in the Christian church, but that's clearly in the Bible. Okay, there are going to be other nations ruling on earth, but they're going to be under the dominion of Christ. Okay, so they're going to be allowed to have their rule, right? They're going to be allowed to go and build their societies and their kingdoms, but they're going to have to bring tribute unto Christ, and they're going to have to live by the commandments of the Christ, right? They can't go off and do what they want, you know, and break the laws, right? They can't tell people it's okay to sleep with another man's wife. They can't go around doing that. And if it's found out that they are, well, then they're going to be slain with the sword. Okay, but they can't be doing that. They can't do that. As long as they're following the law, statutes, and commandments in the kingdom, then they're going to be good, right? As long as they bring the tribute to Christ's kingdom, then they'll be good, right? The Lord will bless them. So that's just the way it is in the kingdom, right? You have to put this Christianity, to the side, man, because we were all deceived by the Christian church. We were all brought up with a incorrect interpretation of the Bible. All right. William said, I just mean by this, entering the kingdom / finding life, is that not everyone inherits eternal life. Some are damned and destroyed forever. And yeah, I know what you're getting at. But I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. I wouldn't necessarily agree with that understanding. My understanding, as I said, I believe that people are gonna be destroyed, in the lake of fire. But then as I presented, there are some that are gonna awake, right? They're gonna awake up in the kingdom again. They're gonna be reincarnated in the kingdom of heaven, right? After they go through that second death. So we can disagree on that. That's definitely cool. I know why you're I definitely can see why you don't agree on that. I can understand that, certainly. But that would be my answer on that question. Let me see. Which, as I said, that's a good topic. I'm gonna have to do a video on that. That's a good subject to speak about, for a little bit. But anyway, let me see. Yeah, as far as the what's this thing? Right, these fallen angels, that's a Christian doctrine, right? That's the Christian, belief, right? That there was, angels that followed Satan, down to the earth. They when Satan was cast down to the earth is what they say. And my question to them is, where is that in the Bible? And they can't go to Isaiah the 14th chapter, because Isaiah the 14th chapter, it said, take up this proverb against the king of Babylon. Right, so the proverb was speaking against the king of Babylon when it mentions the word Lucifer, right? So it was a parable against the king of Babylon. It wasn't talking about, like the actual spiritual demon Satan, right? So a Christian can't go to that verse, and use that and say, oh, well, see, well, here's where Satan was kicked out of heaven. Well, you can't go there because the Lucifer in that context was talking about the king of Babylon. Okay, so that's why the Bible is a difficult, book to understand. Okay, the Bible is a difficult, book to wrap one's mind around, for lack of better words. Let me see. Right, but going back to what I was saying, is that Christians be on there talking about how you don't have to have any works to make it to the kingdom. It's like, well, wait a second. The scriptures literally say that when Christ returns, he's going to judge every man according to his work shall be. Right? Every man's going to be judged according to his works. Right? As we brought it up earlier, right? Matthew, the 25th chapter, all you got to do is start from verse 31 and read on down. It speaks about, it says what? The people are being judged off of their good deeds in their life. So wait a second. So if your good deeds in life and your wicked deeds had no relevance, why the hell are these people being judged by him then? Right? It wouldn't make any sense. So as I said, man, oh, what is that? If you go to, I believe that's James the second chapter, right? James chapter 2, it speaks about, hey, look, I'll show you my faith by my works, is what James says, right? I'll show you my faith by my works. All right. So that cuts these Christians, saying that you don't have to have works, to be saved. That's clearly not in the Bible, right? You got to have, you know, um, works to show forth, to make it to the kingdom, right? Because anybody can just sit there and say they believe, right? Anyone can do that. I mean, hell, even the scriptures say that even Satan and the devils, right? The demonic spirits, they'll even admit that that the Christ is the Son of the Most High. They'll even admit that, right? So even they believe. Okay, so it's at the end of the day, it's a lot more that you have to do than just claiming that you believe in Christ. You know what I'm saying? You can't just sit there and make a statement and claim something. You have to show forth your faith, right, by your works. Okay, that's just what you have to do at the end of the day, is you have to show that you really do believe in what you're on there talking about. Okay, you have to really show that that's what you believe. Which I won't go for too much longer tonight. We won't go for too much longer because it's getting a little long. If anyone has any more questions you'd like to add on to the show, I will address those in my last couple of minutes on here. But yeah, it's just for a little recap, everything we discussed, going back to the whole dinosaur issue, right? I mean, it's just, hey, look, if you look into the evidence, that's out there, it's very difficult to, just pretend that the evidence isn't there. Right? So that's what guys like, Eric Dubay, they'll sit there and say that, right? Like, oh, well, that's all fake, right? All of that's fake, right? The Inca stones and all that, that's all fake. There to deceive people. I mean, hell, man, you got guys out here like, tried and denied, right? Tried and fried, as we call them. They're on there talking about that, there's no such thing as nuclear weapons, right? If they don't exist, is what they say. You ask them, it's like, okay, well, how exactly do you know? They don't know, right? They're just, repeating, what they heard on the YouTube video somewhere. That's all they're doing, man. Okay, just repeating what someone else told them, and just, rolling with that. That's what a lot of these guys on the comment board are doing. Right? A lot of guys on the Sakari's comment board, right? They'll come on there, and if you go to the live chat, which I believe they're live right now, actually, on the Sakari channel, but they'll be over there, just agreeing with everything that Alizé and D Coon, right? D Coon and Facade, are talking about. They'll just be on there gobbling, it all down, right? Without asking any type of, serious questions. And that's what happened when I went on there, right? Everyone, sitting there talking a bunch of smack in the comment section, but no one knows what the hell they're talking about. Everyone's sitting on there acting all emotional. But then when they're given an opportunity, to, present an argument, based off of the scriptures that goes against, what we're on there talking about, then they don't do it. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, at the end of the day, man, it's just, you got to be diligent, and do your own, research, man. Right? And the same thing with me. Hey, look, if you hear me saying something you don't agree with, hey, well, just go do your own research on it, and you can come to your own conclusion. All right? That's all. Right? If you don't agree, then you're free to not agree. Right? You can go do your own research and come to your own conclusion. And in fact, I would support you to do that. Right? Do that. Right? Don't just believe something because I'm telling you it. Don't do that. Go do the research on your own, and you can come to your own conclusion. Right? And you might come back and agree, or you might come back and disagree. Right? But hey, in your leisure time, go do some of your own, research, onto those, matters of discussion. Okay. So I'm going to round the show out in a couple minutes here. Not too much to speak about tonight. Well, we went over a couple of, good topics, but, I got to get going in a minute here. But yeah, man, just on, to close it all out, it's just, you got to be careful, man. Okay. With, who you're listening to, out here in YouTube land, man. Don't just, believe in what someone's saying because they put the word, truther behind their channel. Right behind their channel name. You can't just believe what they're saying just because they say that they, subscribe to the Bible. Right? Just because someone claims that they believe in Christ, that doesn't mean that they're a good person, for lack of better words, right? Because as I said, even Satan himself and the devils, right, they even believe that the Christ is the Son of the Most High. They even believe that. So what good is it going to do them? You know what I'm saying? So you have to try the spirit, man. Right? You have to try, the people. The scriptures speak about how a corrupt, tree can't bring forth, good fruit, and vice versa, right? A good tree can't bring forth evil fruit, but an evil tree cannot bring forth good fruit, which represents, the tree represents the person, and the fruit represents the good or the wicked works, is what it represents. But anyway, I'm gonna, end the show off with that. If anyone's watching after the stream, go ahead and put hashtag Let's see. Go ahead and put hashtag um William. We'll give that brother a little shout out because he's been active in the comments, man. I gotta give him that. So go ahead and put hashtag William in the comment section if anyone made it through the whole stream. Um, but anyway, thank everyone for stopping by. You know, it was a good chat. You know, we'll definitely do it again. Um, but yeah, you know, hope the show was edifying. And all I'm gonna say shalom.